So, if you follow me and my journey for a little bit, you may know that if I have a problem with something, I look for ways to work with myself to change it. I can't stand staying idle and stagnant on something, and in the past, I had a hard time getting to sleep. I actually talked about this in depth on my podcast, Divine Authenticity, a while back. Now, I don't claim that energy anymore, and it's not going to be a part of my future thanks to a few things. But a big part of that is thanks to today's sponsor, Aura. Aura is a new mindfulness and sleep app that won the Best of Apple award and is used by over 7 million people. The app has thousands of meditations, stories, and so much more, like life coaching and breath work. I've tried other sleep time apps and meditations on YouTube, and those can be really hit or miss for me, but Aura has really stood out to me as super helpful. Aura has coaches, therapists, and storytellers to provide a unique experience no matter what you're looking to get. If you're looking for help sleeping, waking up to a bright and mindful day, or getting inspired, check out Aura. You can get started completely free on Aura's website by using my special link down in the description. The first 500 people get a free trial and an exclusive 25% off. Thank you so much to Aura for sponsoring today's video. Hello there, my beautiful pumpkins, and welcome back to the Pumpkin Patch. If you're new here, hello, my name is Kloee Taylor, and on this channel, I believe we have one of the most cozy, vibey, autumnal corners of the internet. And before we get into this really exciting video, I want to let y'all know that this month I have done a few restocks of my tarot readings. They do tend to sell out relatively quickly, so definitely check it out if you are wanting a personal reading from me. Please know that I will never directly DM you. You can only ever book through KhloeTaylor.com. I never am going to get on Instagram and DM you for a reading. Those are scammer accounts. But if you've been wanting a personalized reading from me, the link is in the description. It's KhloeTaylor.com and spelled just like it is here. So if you want to get one of those readings, make sure you check it out. Let's go ahead and get into it. So this video is going to be 7 things that your spirit guides need you to know right now. And basically what I do is before these videos, I feel like I've never actually talked about my process with y'all, is I get into meditation and I ask for anybody's spirit guides that have a message for them to come through me to give you the messages that you need to hear right now that maybe you're having a hard time hearing on your own through your own intuition or your own day-to-day life. And this is really meant to be if you just feel like you need to hear from your spirit guides, that's what I'm here for right now. So each pile has a number correspondence that I also channeled in for this. So pile number 1, you have a quadruple 0, which I thought was really interesting. I have never worked with the angel number 0000, and I was really amazed that that was the number that came through for y'all. So pile number 1, quadruple 0. Pile number 2, you are 777. You were the pile that actually, I feel like, inspired this reading. I knew that there was going to be a 777 pile, and it's your pile. Pile number 3, you are master number 33. This number might be significant to you, or I also heard that this number corresponds to Archangel Michael. So if you do work with archangels, this could be a significance that that's your pile. And pile number 4, your number is 1212. And we'll talk a little bit more about those numbers in your reading as we go through them. But please know that you're never going to choose wrong. You can absolutely choose more than one if you feel called to more than one. Some people even feel called to all 4 piles, and we'll just watch the whole video and then decide at the end which pile was the most resonant for them. If you're having trouble with the numbers or you don't feel specifically called but you're here, I would encourage you to take a look at the timestamps down below, because sometimes your lucky numbers will be present in the timestamps, or there's like an emoji that you use all the time that might call out to you. Those are just like extra selectors for you to help you narrow your focus on which pile might be yours, especially if you're someone that has a really hard time connecting into your intuition. And the reason this keeps coming up is one more thing I want to tell you before I turn on the meditation music and we get into this reading is there's nothing wrong with you if you feel like you have a hard time connecting to your intuition. I feel like in today's world, many of us were not taught how to do this, but I also want to assure you that you aren't just like not intuitive. Everybody has the ability to connect to their intuition. It just might be something that you have to hone in and practice more and more and more before you build that trust with yourself. So just like don't feel ashamed or bad about that. I feel like it's actually way more common than you think. And I just really want to encourage you with this video that yes, you can connect to your intuition. It's not made for a certain kind of person. You always have the ability to tap in. It just might be harder to hear it first until you learn. And there is definitely content creators out there that like specifically work on that kind of skill building. So I would always encourage, if you're ever curious about that, it's not something that I currently have a ton of information on out there on my channel, but I guarantee you a Google search of like how to hone in or tune into your intuition will be very beneficial. And actually there's one more thing Spirit's asking me to say, and that is that if you're worried that like you don't know what is your intuition or what is like anxiety, please know that the anxious thoughts often come from the ego. Sorry if you hear noises. My husband's cleaning the house like a very sweet person, and I feel like he's making so much noise right now. So I'm so sorry if you're hearing a bunch of noise. He's literally like doing the dishes and the laundry, and I think he just dropped something on the ground, but I promise you everything in my house is fabulous. So just wanted to tell you that in case you were like, what the heck? Anyways, the intuition. And the anxiety. So just know that oftentimes when it's like a rapid racing thought, or you're like, oh my gosh, like this bad thing is going to happen. I just know it's going to happen. That is not your intuition. That is often the ego speaking to us. And don't get me wrong, our ego has such a valuable place in our life. We're not supposed to transcend it. It can help us, if we're crossing the street, to look both ways, remind us to look both ways, to not get hurt, right? That can be those really loud, pressing thoughts. But the intuition is actually a very, very soft voice. And you might not always hear like an auditory anything from your intuition. It might be just a feeling. It might just be a passing thought, but it's a very gentle thought that's like, oh, you should definitely do this thing, or think about this, or like it's much softer in its approach. And for me, not only is it a soft voice, it's also a soft feeling of like, I just know, like the feeling feels like it almost expands inside of me. And that's just my experience with my intuition. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. I'm telling you these things because though this video is going to be so helpful for you, and I really do believe that, it's also, I want you to know, like, you have the ability to channel these messages too. This isn't something that is just like for me and only me, or like I'm some kind of super psychic, or like, yes, I have really worked to hone this skill and this ability, and that's why I'm here to help. But you always have the ability to tap into and hear those messages for yourself, no matter what tool you decide to use. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm going to go ahead and turn the meditation music up for you, and then we're going to start with pile 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. The timestamps are, of course, down below for you. And let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so pile number one, these are the 7 things that your spiritual team needs you to know about. And we're going to go through each of these cards one by one, and we're going to clarify them as we go with some more cards. So, the first thing that your spiritual team wants you to know, let me actually tell you what these cards are first. Like, I'll read them to you, like what the titles of them are, and then we'll go through one by one. So, we have freedom, the mother, excuse me, the mother, the self. This is the 4 of earth. And then we also have the 4 of air. We have the destroyer and the desert. So we're going to start in the middle with freedom. We're going to clarify these 4 cards and then these 2 cards on the outside. So number 1, your spiritual team wants you to know that freedom is most likely your purpose in this lifetime. And this might be something that you haven't completely been able to intuit for yourself yet, that everything that you've tried has felt really uncomfortable. And the reason for that is that your actual inner core self, I talk about this on my channel all the time, but everybody has an innate core desire in this lifetime. And you can have like multiple, but there's usually one that speaks the strongest. And it's usually very, very simple. Like for some people, it's going to be family is their biggest core value. For some people, love is going to be their biggest core value. For you, it's freedom. And it's freedom from anything that you feel like holds you back. So this could be freedom from family, freedom from love, freedom from your like being bound to a single location, freedom to travel, freedom to make decisions without having to consider finances or budget, freedom. It's being able to express yourself to your highest and fullest potential and do so without having to put your authenticity on hold. So the reason I say that your spiritual team doesn't feel like you're aware of this and maybe things have even felt uncomfortable for you in the past is because to clarify this card, we have the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man card is really about feeling kind of put on pause or stuck or stagnant in life. And your spiritual team wants you to know that the reason you have been put on pause, put on this stagnancy, is because you needed to be made aware of this, that what you're currently doing in your reality is not creating more freedom and it's creating more stuckness. So this could be that maybe you're trying to design like a business that creates more freedom for you, but the way that you're going about it isn't actually something that's going to create more freedom for you. It's going to make you feel more stuck, more caged than ever before. Or maybe you're entering a relationship, right? With these 2 birds, it could definitely be that. And you think that together you're going to create more freedom, but this relationship maybe isn't the right one and it's creating more stuckness. Or maybe you've been in a relationship that really hinders your freedom and your growth as a person. I'm just channeling through everything that different guides are telling me. So this could be like a few things for each of you. But this card also states spread your wings. So this is also about learning to really be your own best advocate, your own best validation as well. That's like the path that you need to be on, is not being somebody that seeks validation only from the self. And this is something that definitely takes practice. It's a learned behavior that you have to start instilling within yourself. Because let me tell you something, when you are somebody that doesn't crave the validation of others as like a baseline, now I'm not saying it doesn't feel good to be appreciated or praised or have nice things said to you about the work you do or who you are. That's always going to feel good when we're supported by community. It's very natural. However, when that is not the basis of what you're doing, that is going to create more freedom for you. When the baseline is, I'm here to please myself. I'm here to create pleasing things in the world that I feel like I would need. That's when the community actually starts to show up. And it's when you mute yourself or try to Like, for example, on YouTube, a way that this is really commonly done is always being deep in the analytics, always trying to create thumbnails that are louder or more poppier or reinvent yourself 24/7 because you're trying to get yourself to look like something that other people would admire instead of just making yourself admirable for yourself. What is your aesthetic? What do you like? How do you want to present yourself? Instead of trying to see what you think others will like. Does that make sense? Like, I know I gave the example of YouTube because it's easy for me to give those examples because I do this for a living, but it could be like even in a podcast. Like, I'm not saying never look at what else is out there, but if you're only looking at what else is out there, if you're only deep in the analytics, if you're only researching, this is also going to stagnate you and keep you from actually creating. So there's number one. The second thing your spiritual team wants you to know with this mother archetype and the Ace of Crystals, I feel like this is pretty cut and dry. And that is that with a maternal figure in your life, you need to have better boundaries. You do not have really excellent boundaries with this person. And even like, I'm not like, your mother could be somebody that has passed on already, or, could be not even like your biological mother. It could just be a maternal figure in your life, maybe even a grandmother, right? But the Ace of Crystals is about standing up in your own truth. Ooh, I'm getting another message. So some of you are afraid to put yourself out there because you're afraid of what your mother or somebody in your matriarchal line will think of you. And Spirit is saying you need to do it anyway. And know that your message or what you have to say or create or put out there or speak into existence, that's one person. And even though it might be somebody that you have a lot of emotional ties and connection to, because our mothers often are, it's one person when your voice, your message, your words could heal thousands of people. Don't let one person's opinion of what you're doing stop you, or even a handful of people if this is like family in general. But the Ace of Crystals is like setting an appropriate boundary here, or deciding to create your idealized self or reality, even if it doesn't match up with the people that have taught you to act or be a certain way. Now, the Four of Earth here, this we have clarified by the Seven of Wands. And the Four of Earth is a card that's about creating sustainability. And I get the sense that you're really afraid that if you have sustainability or like good things in your life, or you've built structure, you're really afraid that other people are going to come at you or like have opinions about what you're doing. You're scared. You're scared that people are going to be like, what are you doing? That's dumb. Or you never have time for us anymore because of your new structures, or you're selfish. And Spirit is saying that you need to stand in your own authentic power with this. And if criticism is coming, it's time for you to actually stand up for yourself and your needs, especially when it comes to building structure and routine, because you actually have two cards in your reading that talk about this. And we're going to clarify this one too when we get to it. But both of these cards talk about creating structure. And I feel like you're afraid to create a routine because like you might have to say no to certain social engagements, or you may have to say no to family events or helping people with things where you've always been available before. And Spirit is ultimately saying that it's time to actually stand up for what you need. And if anybody gets upset about your boundaries, it's because they were benefiting from you not having them. And the people that really love and appreciate you are going to understand. So, and those are the people that are, like, you need to keep close to you. And like, it's cute too, because we have all these like accusatory wands being pointed at this person, but then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little stars. Those to me are like your little star cluster. Those are the people that know you, love you, support you, respect you. You're not just going to be like an island without support or respect. So don't be afraid to make these routines for yourself or create structure in your life. The next thing your spiritual team wants you to know is about this 4 of Earth. Now, this is about actually having like a strict schedule. This is more like, I don't want to say rigidity, because I do think that rigidity is something that it's not always beneficial. When we get too rigid, we don't allow the natural flow of life. And this is where we can create more anxiety, more worry, more tension. However, Spirit is saying there is some kind of practice that you really need to commit discipline to. And we have Temperance here with it, because there is something in your life right now that has really been weighing heavily on you. And the reason it's not changing and it keeps coming back is because you are not creating enough discipline and structure around it. And it's not that you need to be so hard on yourself. Like, this is how I see it. When it comes to like divine masculine, divine feminine, which I'm not talking about gender, like we could call it something different. I always want to say this and make room for everybody here. So I'm sorry if you've heard this before, but it's really important to me when we have new people coming across the channel that they understand that they're welcome here and it's not a gendered based thing. So when it comes to divine masculine, divine feminine, we could literally call these energies something else. It's not about gender. We can call them yin and yang energy. They are just 2 energies that all of us carry. And when they are working in tandem and in balance, we create more of a like way of flowing with the natural rhythms of life. However, sometimes when they get out of balance, this is an area I don't hear talked about enough, that, you know, we have like this huge wave of the rise of the divine feminine, and it's beautiful and we really need it. The earth desperately needs this rise. However, that being said, sometimes when we are too much in the flow, in the resting, receiving, always catering, always being soft, it doesn't allow us to actually create the structures that make us feel better. So to me, it's really about being soft, but also disciplined at the same time. And discipline is not like beating yourself up. Discipline is creating loving practices and loving routines that help you to forge habits that create the lifestyle that you're trying to make for yourself. So having some structure, some daily like repetitive things, is that even a word? Repetitive things that you commit yourself to that actually better and further you is going to be of high benefit to you. And there has maybe been, I don't want to say too much flow or too much relaxation, because I don't really think there's ever too much of those things, because like, to me, laziness isn't even real. Like, laziness is a myth that we made up in productivity culture and hustle culture. People are not lazy, they're burnt out. So I don't think we can have too much rest or too much flow, but I do think we can have too much of a lack of discipline. And that is ultimately what you're being called towards, is loving discipline. This isn't about shaming or blaming yourself or beating yourself up. It's committing to a daily routine or practice that is going to actually alchemize the tough situations in your life. So like, for example, if you are, I'm going to come back to YouTube because it's just easy for me. If you're trying to build a YouTube channel, okay, one of the best ways to actually build this out is to be consistent. And it doesn't mean that you have to upload every single day. You're going to burn out if you do that. It can literally be once a week, every Thursday, you decide to upload every single week for a year. that would be a great level of consistency and commitment to work towards if you're trying to build stability in a YouTube career. That's like really excellent advice. It's creating loving discipline. It doesn't mean every video is going to be polished and 100%. It's just making sure that the video gets out there. Sometimes 80% is better than 110. And actually, I would argue that 110 is never like the goal. It should always be like 80 to 90%, because when you're giving 100% of yourself, oftentimes you don't have room for the rest of yourself. And that's how we lead ourselves into burnout. So creating that consistency, that constant return to the same thing over and over, creating loving discipline, because what's going to happen is you're going to actually forge something new in your life by creating this. And it's the stagnancy that's been stressing you out. And it might be something that like you feel like every time it comes up, you need to like, oh, I'm going to take a rest day. Oh, I'm going to chill. But in reality, if you did like an hour of working on that YouTube video, let's say, or like producing it, even if it was just one day out of your week that you worked on producing this, that would make you feel better versus taking the rest day. You feel me? Like sometimes it's that loving discipline. And also, I'm sorry if you hear any noises. My husband is being the sweetest man alive, and he's cleaning the house. And I feel like he has dropped like 3 different things today while I've been filming. And I'm sorry if my microphone's picking that up. So the next card we have for you is the Self card. And to describe this card, we have the 8 of Wands. So this is really interesting to me because I feel like the Self card is, and let me show this to you. I almost feel like I got to hold these up a little bit because some of the gold on them, they're beautiful cards. It's like one of my favorite decks. I'll link it for you down below. But they're kind of hard to see because I'm just using natural sunlight today because it just feels nice to do that because the sun is like never out in the Pacific Northwest. But the 8 of Wands with the Self card, your spiritual team wants you to know that working on yourself can be a passion project, and it can be a deep, like loving thing that you're able to create multiple opportunities from. You are allowed to exist and generate wealth. You are allowed to be paid for literally being your authentic self. You are allowed to create opportunity from the skills, knowledge, and tools that you already have. And it's not just made for like some people. The only difference is that those people put themselves out there. They create that freedom instead of waiting for freedom to fall on their doorstep. And the 8 of Wands is a card of multiple opportunities and rapid action. So I do feel like almost like this like loving discipline and this Self card really kind of go together in the sense that when you create the structure, the discipline, you defend your boundaries, you're going to find that you have so much more peace within yourself. And it's actually the lack of action that is hurting you the most right now. So like, and I feel like this might be something that you're really used to doing. Like you're very used to not taking action, to stopping and sitting with yourself. And that has worked for you for a very long time. And you have achieved and committed to yourself in so many new and beautiful ways. But now it's time for something different. It's time to instead put action behind all of the things that you've learned about yourself. And something amazing is going to come out of this. Your spirit guides want you to know that with the 8 of Wands, opportunities are coming your way, and you don't need to become somebody impossible. You don't need to reach super, super far or go really, really hard at something. It can literally be through just taking care of yourself, creating that loving discipline, and being yourself. I feel like there is maybe also a fear of self, or like, maybe you think that there's something inherently wrong with you, but there isn't. And there are so many people that need to hear the things that you believe in, because the way that you think in this world, thousands of other people think like that. Like it's not, I feel like I'm hearing this message of there's like a conflict between the self and other. Like you feel like you're too much for other people, too much for the world maybe, but ultimately there are actually thousands of other people like you. And the more you keep to yourself and like shut everything out and don't take action towards things, the more and more and more you're going to keep perpetuating that belief that you're alone, that you're too much, that the world is too much for you. But when you actually get out there and put yourself out there and create action and momentum, you're going to find your community and you're going to find people that love you just the way that you are, for being who you are. You don't have to change. And then we have these last two cards, the Desert and the Destroyer. And then I also want to talk to you about the angel number 0000. So the Destroyer, this card we have with the 4 of stars. Looks like this. Beautiful. And the Destroyer, I feel like some people would say that this archetypal card is like not good, but I actually like the Destroyer because the Destroyer comes to change paradigms. It comes to change people's lives. It comes to disrupt what you previously believed and knew to be true so that something new can be formed. And your spirit guides need you to know that you're clinging really, 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 really tightly, like not in a good way, to an outdated identity about yourself. Look at this 4 of stars. It's this woman or like female presenting person clinging to stars. And she's also like chained. She's like handcuffed at her feet to these stars. And you need to write a new story about yourself. I feel like whoever you want to become in this lifetime, you have to stop repeating the inner dialogue that you're too much, that the world can't handle you, that you can't make friends, that you're too emotional, that you're too sensitive, that you're too non-committal, you're too focused on freedom, you're too relaxed, too quote unquote lazy, which we just talked about. Lazy isn't even real. There is a story that you write in your head about yourself that needs to be destroyed because it is already destroying you. It's keeping you from your peace. It's keeping you from your freedom. It's keeping you from actually letting people love you the way that you deserve and desire to be loved. It's keeping opportunities from you. And it's time to set yourself free. Clinging to this identity is only hurting you. And it takes time to reinvent or become someone new. But you came across this reading because you have the power to do it. You have the power to create new. You have the power to become whoever you want to be in this lifetime. And your spirit guides need you to know that. And something else I want to say just on like the psychological thread a little bit on this is we have something in our mind called the RAS, or the reticular activating system. And the RAS, what it does is when we are taking in stimuli from the world, it actually filters that stimuli. It's like this automatic system that if we actually took in all the stimuli that was being presented to us, we would like go crazy. It would be too much. It would be overwhelming. So our brain filters out the stuff that we already kind of like have beliefs about. So this is like, if you believe that the world is a bad place or it's not safe, your RAS is actually going to forge that belief in your head. You're going to see all of the destruction in the world all the time. You're going to see how the world is terrible and nobody's trustworthy. You're going to see, if you constantly have this belief that you're too much or too sensitive, you're going to constantly prove that to yourself over and over and over. And it takes time to adjust that part of the brain, but it can be adjusted. Every time you have a thought that contradicts the belief that you want to start to have internally, you have to challenge it. And this is why I tell y'all all the time that changing your inner dialogue with yourself is one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself. Your inner dialogue actually creates your entire identity. And it's because the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between you talking about somebody else and you talking about yourself. And even if you don't like hear your own thoughts, some people don't have like inner monologue, even like the feelings can start to perpetuate it too. Or the things that you say. So don't speak unkindly about yourself. Don't speak things into existence internally or externally about yourself. Like you're too much, you're too sensitive, you're too focused on yourself, non-committal, or things are never going to work out for you, or don't speak those things. Don't say those things over yourself because you perpetually create evidence to your mind that it's true. And this continues to create your reality. So this is one of the biggest ones that I changed. I feel like if this is like helpful, I feel like sometimes hearing success stories can be beneficial to somebody that's like afraid of this. So I'm just going to share with you one that I changed for myself over the last year is that the world is like bad or terrible. And sometimes it still creeps up, especially if I spend too much time talking about it with other people that are really hell bent on that being the truth. And I started noting and proving to myself that the world is a good place, that people actually really love each other, that there are good people in this world, that the world is safe for me to inhabit. And every time I had something that would happen in my life that would prove to me that that was true, I would like make a note of it in my phone and be like, the world's a good place because I pet dogs today. The world's a good place because I saw somebody help somebody across the street today. The world's a good place because I was able to have the abundance to tip a waitress really high today. The world is a good place because a kind person smiled at me today. The world, like, and also I turned the news right off because that will just convince you that the world is always on fire and that everything's wrong. I think that is one of the best things I did for my mental health over the last year was completely cut myself off from the news. And I won't talk about it with other people because I know that like I'm a little bit on a soapbox right now, but if this is you, I feel like it's really important that you not necessarily surround yourself with an echo chamber, but surround yourself with things that prove to you the life that you're trying to lead. And one last thing on that before we move on to this final card. Something else that's really helpful if this is your experience and you're trying to break this identity, you have to start building community. Whether it's virtual, whether it's in person with people, actually meeting with other people, if you think that the world is not good, is one of the best things you can do for yourself. And I know it can be scary, especially if we fear other, but putting yourself out there and meeting new people until you meet people that get you, it changes your entire perspective on humanity. And that's something that like recently happened for me in like this year is I met a community of people that are just so awesome and like witchy and understanding. And it completely shifted my reality on like nobody gets me or understands me. I found like so many people that get it and understand me. And I also have like this online community, obviously I built that over time, but I feel like the more you connect with others, the less you other yourself. And it seems very contradictory because it's like the scariest thing you have to do is actually talk to other people when that's the thing that might make you the most fearful. But it's like going into that fear is actually what heals it. And the last piece of advice from your spiritual team is you have the desert and you have judgment. And Spirit is saying, kind of on that same thread with your internal beliefs, is you are really afraid that if you put yourself out there, it's going to be crickets. Nobody is going to like you. Nobody is going to want to listen to what you have to say. Things are going to be a dry, dry, dry desert. Your thirst is not going to be quenched for support, for connecting. And I know that this is about connecting because judgment is about rising up as a leader and having people actually listen to you. And Spirit is ultimately saying that that's the story you need to start writing for yourself, that the words you speak are worthwhile. The things that you've learned and obtained are things that have helped you And you're not the only person that's going to benefit from that. There are so many people that need your healing story to help heal them. And you're not just going to be left with nothing. That might be it at first, but ultimately you will connect with people that need to hear your song. And you will end up in a leadership position. Like if you're somebody that's been questioning that, Spirit wants you to know that you are a born leader. You're somebody that is meant to lead a community, and you need to stop telling yourself that you can't or you won't or you're not good at it, or because leaders are not born. You don't pop out of the womb and decide like, I am a leader. Look at me go. No, it comes with time and forging that leadership position. And you are somebody that is a natural born leader, but it comes with time. It might already be inside of you, but in order to express it fully, you have to put it into practice and believe that it's possible. And that is what I have for you. These are the 7 things that your spiritual team really needed you to know. I want to touch a little bit on your angel number for a moment. So 0000, this is like a complete reset. And so I feel like the advice with that angel number, if you felt called to it, is that it's time to do a little bit of a reset on your life right now. Me and my best friend call this like going into hermit mode, where I'm going to talk about my hermit mode specifically because I feel like we do it very differently. But the way I do hermit mode is I do no social media. I do no Netflix, no YouTube, no, like basically anything that's going to take me out of my own energy aside from like maybe reading books. I don't do. I do a lot more journaling, drawing, listening to music, reading books, maybe an audiobook if I'm really feeling it, meditating, having conversations with people in person is something that I will allow. But basically, I do a cutoff from like most of the virtual worlds. I won't get on my YouTube channel. I won't look at like Patreon stuff. I'll like schedule things out ahead of time. I won't take on personal reading clients. I put my phone on like a perpetual do not disturb. I will not respond to text messages. I will not respond to emails. I'm out of office at that time. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 2, but ultimately it's not being at anybody else's beck and call, and making as much space as I need to do what I need to do, to be with myself, to, just really get clear on my vision. I love doing this right before New Year's. But I would say we do have Aries season coming up at the end of this month. We have a new moon in Aries on the 21st. This is actually the zodiac new year. And this could be a great time to do a reset for yourself. And I would also like organize my home, organize my things, work with my planner, things that just really get me on track to completing my own goals. And it's not about like being selfish or pulling away from everybody. It's more about just being more focused on what it is that you really desire to create. And this has the ability to really, really, really help you figure out exactly what that can look like. Because so often we say we're going to set aside time for ourselves, and then we end up binge watching Netflix. We end up sitting on YouTube. YouTube's my thing. I'll sit on YouTube for hours and hours and hours and hours, or I'll scroll Reels, or I'll scroll TikTok, or I'll get like really sidetracked, especially by media. And when you kind of go on a like dopamine detox from that, it's hard at first, but things become so much clearer, so much faster, and you realize how much time you actually do have in a day. Now, obviously, I'm not talking to people that you work like 5 jobs and you've got like 8 kids. There is a limit with this, and there's so much nuance to this. Do what feels right for you. I am somebody that's very fortunate to not have children and to live with my husband and my cats and nobody else. Like, I'm very fortunate to get to make my own schedule, so it's different for me. But that doesn't mean if you want that reality that you can't create that for yourself as well eventually. Like, obviously you can't just like get rid of your kids, but like eventually they're going to grow up and move on to their own lives. So I believe that you can create any reality that you want for yourself, even if it takes some time to get there. Is there anything else I want to say to you, pile number one? That 000 though is like a brand new reset, a brand new start. And if you felt attracted to those numbers, that's what that says. And that is going to be your reading. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Don't forget to check out the Patreon link down below. If you want to support me as a creator, you get extra pick-a cards, weekly energy updates with astrology and tarot when the astrology applies anyways. You get a card of the month. You get lifestyle content from me now. I put all of my like vlogs or extra things there. I recently put out a video all about Saturn within the last couple of months that goes over your Saturn return and what you deal with, especially if you're coming into yours right now. As this week we had Saturn move into the sign of Pisces. So there's like something, I want to say there's over 300 posts on the Patreon now. And if you're on Patreon, you also get discounts on my private readings. I've started implementing discount or coupon codes. Whenever I post readings, I give a discount of some sort to patrons as well. So if you're wanting to save on those, it's a good place to go. They also get notified as soon as I post readings first. So if you want to like claim dibs, because they always sell out so quickly, it's a good place to get that when I do restock. And we also have community night where once a month we get together and do something. Last month we flipped through a tarot deck together and talked about it. This month we're doing a planning session around the Aries new moon. So it's going to be a good time. And don't forget to also check out my socials, of course, my podcast. We're trying to get 1 million listens this year. That's like my number one goal for the year. It's called Divine Authenticity. We're about 130 episodes in. It's all about like sometimes astrology reports, authenticity, magic, mysticism. It's also about like becoming that person, that girl, that guy, that person for yourself. A lot of like very motivational content. I love my podcast. It's a true passion project, and I hope you'll give it a listen. New episodes every Monday. And last but certainly not least, if you would like to support me in another way, not that it is ever expected, but it's always appreciated, I do have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal listed down below. If this reading helped you out and you have the means to do so, I always appreciate a tip. And know that it always gets poured back into the channel unless you ask me to do something else with it in the notes section. And I also have my wish list down below if you would like to check that out. Again, never an expectation. And I love you so much, pile number one. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. Hello there, pile number two, and welcome into the 7 things that your spirit guides need you to hear at this time. So first and foremost, you chose the number 777. And this reading was like, I swear the inspiration for this entire like YouTube reading was in my mind's eye. I saw the number 777. I thought about like luck and abundance and like receiving gifts. So I feel like, first of all, with the number 777, this might be like 7 could just be your lucky number. Or this is like, if you were attracted to that number, it's a symbol of like abundance coming your way. So there's technically 8 things for you to know if we include the number. But let's go ahead and talk about these cards. Now I have some clarifiers as well for these cards that we're going to get. But let me just tell you what these ones are, and then we're going to go over them one by one with some extra cards. So right at the heart of your reading, you have remember who you are, return to the roots. We have abundance, the castle, the hero, the 7 of water, the 10 of fire, and the kiss. So right off the bat with remember who you are, return to the roots. This is being clarified by the Chariot card from Dreamy Moons Tarot is what we're using to clarify. I'll link all the decks I use down below, by the way. And the Chariot here over this card is all about remembering why you do the things that you do. Remembering why you set out to accomplish something in the first place. So I'm really getting with this pile that you might be somebody that really works hard at your dreams, but you've lost the reason why you started. You've lost the roots of why you started the journey anyways. And this could be like with work, or I would say just like with a passion project, it's like you've just deviated too far. And Spirit is reminding you with the heart of this reading, especially if you stress about like, what else can I do to get more money? Or like you're doing like a side hustle or your full-time job is your passion project. It's like you really try to hit monetary goals now, and that's not a bad thing. Like, please know that money is never something to be demonized. That is like religious propaganda that tells us that money is the root of all evil. It's not. Money is just a tool that the people that use the money, that like evil is also very subjective, but it's how people use their dollar that creates the energy behind it. So you could say that somebody that is a billionaire that doesn't take care of people is evil, but it's not the money that is evil. It's the person that is wielding the tool. The same way that if you are cooking an elaborate meal and you're using a knife, you're not, or like you can also stab somebody with a knife. It's not the knife that's evil or the knife that cooks the elaborate meal. It's the person wielding the tool. So just be advised that like if that's a belief that you really struggle with, there's nothing wrong with wanting to create wealth or money for yourself. However, it can't be the only reason. This is something that really robs your soul of its joy. And you need to remember why you are trying to walk this path or do this thing. Because if money is the only thing, you're going to, like, even if you get all of that money, you're never going to feel fulfilled. And also, I need to say with your reading, I feel like very out of breath. And I was not feeling breathy before this reading. We need to let's everybody just take a deep breath, okay? Let's in through the nose, out through the mouth. In for a count of 4, out for a count of 7. One more time. Feels better, doesn't it? I feel like it's like I couldn't get like the words out fast enough. I was feeling like almost like this energy of like feeling pressed on or suffocated. And it's almost like, again, you've gotten so far from purpose because you've let all this other stuff cloud your judgment that you're not on the path of just pursuing passion for the sake of pursuing passion. And you're in a space right now where blockages are being removed from your way. Like you might even be in a position where you have the freedom to create whatever you want whenever you want. And instead, you're focused on all the things that aren't working versus what is working in your favor. And Spirit is ultimately saying it's time to reconnect with the purpose. It's time to reconnect with why you're doing something, because if there's no reason behind it, if there's no purpose driven behind it, again, when you get to that goal, because you will, you're going to find it's very hollow. And Spirit wants you to be aware of this now to really save you from that. Now, the next thing is this abundance card, and we have this being clarified by the Page of Wands. So this tells me that Number one, your spirit guides want you to know that abundance is already a surefire thing. Like you don't need to worry about money coming your way, abundance, extra, luck, blessings. You literally chose pile 777. That is the number for like luck, abundance. And this is just like the promise that that is already coming. You don't need to concern yourself with whatever you're creating right now with, is it going to generate abundance? You don't need to concern yourself with that. That's already being taken care of. You need to just focus on the creativity in front of you. And the Page of Wands is somebody that is maybe even like a little bit of a novice. You might not be like the master of your craft yet, or whatever it is that you're making. I feel like this pile is maybe for my entrepreneurs or people that are like trying to get into some kind of side hustle. But the Page of Wands is like new ideas, starting something brand new. You haven't really surpassed like several years in business yet. It's still kind of like brand new. And this emphasis on money and making money, it's taking away from what you're really trying to do here. And Spirit really wants you to put those thoughts aside. It's okay to worry about money. You know, I think a lot of us, especially in today's world, it's a common fear. It's a common worry. You're not a bad person for worrying about these things. However, it's keeping you from actually being able to do anything about it. And you're in a really good position right now to do this, to create what you want from a heart-centered space. And Spirit wants you to capitalize on this opportunity and not squander it. And we also have for you over the 10 of Fire, which the 10 of Fire is the card of self-mastery. It's honing a craft until you have become the master. Every time I see this card, it reminds me of like, there is this like ultimate sushi master that like studied sushi for like 20 years. And he's like super amazing. I don't like, there's YouTube videos about this guy. I don't know what his actual name is. And I'm so sorry to the sushi master because sushi is literally my favorite food. But that's what like this card always makes me think of, is like mastering something so hard that you are literally the expert that other people look to. And we have this with the 8 of Stars. So what Spirit is wanting you to know is you're not going to become a master if you don't put in the work, if you don't put in the studying hours, if you don't put in the creation hours, if you don't put in the if you don't put in the consistent time. Because the 8 of Stars is also a card of mastery. It's about working on your craft until you have mastered it. Literally, the 8 of Stars is that. It's like, normally it's 8 of Pentacles, and it like, in the regular Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, it's like somebody literally continuously creating the same thing over and over and over until it's perfect. And Spirit is really saying that this is the road you're on right now. You need to just start testing things. Like, one of the best ways I can express this to you is go back on my YouTube channel. Go look at my first video that was ever put on this channel. My videos are nothing like they were back then. And yes, I'm still like the same personality, the same channel, but I have advanced with my however many years I've been doing this. I want to say I've been reading tarot for clients since like 2016, 2017. And prior to that, I was reading on my own, but what is that, like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, shoot, it's like 7 years. I'm like 7 years deep into reading for other people. And I used to like make YouTube videos and then like stalk my analytics page to make sure everybody liked it, or I was like gonna be a failure, and I would freak out about it. And now I make readings and I still look at those comments and I still talk to y'all, but I'm not worried about if everybody likes it, because it's not my job to be liked by everybody anymore. And I have a lot more confidence in my ability to do these things because I've been doing it for so long. Now, I'm not trying to say that like I'm an expert or be big-headed about it. My point is that when you put the practice in, it gets easier and easier and easier. So If you're wanting to make a podcast, the more you produce that podcast, the easier it's going to be and the less fear you're going to have around it. People ask me all the time how to get over the fear of uploading to YouTube. You have to just do it. Like, I hate to be that person that says, like, be like Nike, but be like Nike and just do it. You have to just do it. You're not going to get over that fear or become the master unless you just do it. You want to create meditations, create the meditations and put them out there. You want to be a musical artist, start making the singles and start passing them out. You want to write a book, write the first draft and then go back and write another and start sending your manuscript out. The only way you're going to get over that fear and master your craft is by practicing and committing to that practice. And Spirit wants you to know that that's the only way you're going to overcome is by doing it. And the next thing your spirit guides want you to know with this hero card and the 2 of stars is that the hero is not about like being an actual warrior in battle and like winning a fight. It's more about being the everyday hero, right? We have everyday heroes in freaking our animals, I feel like, are everyday heroes. We have firefighters, we have therapists, psychiatrists, veterinarians, nurses, doctors, holistic practitioners, tarot card readers, right? Hello, of course, freaking Kino, ASO, Gem Goddess, freaking Vanessa Samina, White Feather Tarot. Of course, all these people are my freaking everyday heroes. Okay, tarot card readers are everyday heroes too. You know, and if I didn't say your name, please know I know so many tarot card readers. I'm not trying to exclude anybody. I was just naming off the top of my head, but you can be an everyday hero too, and it's not made for special people. There is no difference between you and the next person. Yes, you have your own uniqueness, your own spin. And I say this all the time. When Kloee Taylor reads tarot cards as an example to you, especially because this is my creative entrepreneur pile, when Kloee Taylor, me, reads tarot cards, I don't read tarot cards the way that the Gem Goddess does. I don't read tarot cards the way that ASO Tarot does. Yes, we are in the same niche and I admire their work so much. They've helped me through stuff with their readings. However, I don't set out to be them. I set out to be myself. I set out to read the way that Kloee Taylor reads, not the way that somebody else does. And even though we're in the same niche, we do similar things. I am my own everyday hero. You are your own everyday hero, and don't try to become somebody else's version of a hero. Be your own hero. Save yourself and put your own uniqueness into what you do, because that is what is going to gain you popularity, get you traction with your work. It's not going to be by word of mouth by a bunch of people or by getting exposure because you got featured somewhere. Like, yes, those things can be helpful, but the reason people stay and listen to the work that you provide is because it's uniquely from you. And becoming your own everyday hero, working to save yourself, the things that you've saved yourself from are going to be the story that connects other people to you as well. That's another message that's coming through. But the 2 of stars with this tells me that this is going to have to be something that is balanced for you, because the 2 of pentacles or stars in this deck, it's all about creating balance in your life. And the way that this balance is going to be achieved with the hero is, I'm hearing from Spirit, it's going to be a little bit about taking mentorship from other people that are doing the things that you want to do, but putting your own spin on everything, doing your own thing, dancing your own dance, beating to the beat of your own drum. It's okay to take inspiration from others. I always say with my channel, if you ever see something that I've done, I don't own anything. I don't own the designs that I create. I don't own the tarot layouts that I have. I don't own, like, nothing is inherently mine. I take inspiration from everywhere around me. And copying is like the highest form of flattery, in my opinion. Now, obviously, there's a difference between taking inspiration and like outright downloading somebody's video and re-uploading it. That's a totally different thing. But My point with this is like, you're going to have to strike the balance between getting inspired, but also creating things with your own strike of like genius, your own strike of inspiration. So just be sure you're not always like, it's definitely okay to always be like inspired by what's coming from you, but be careful when it comes to consuming content as well of your heroes. Not because you shouldn't, because I do believe that you should, but sometimes if we're so stuck on learning from people that we think are doing a great job, we will like lose our own secret sauce, our own special uniqueness in that. Or we'll get to this place where we're always listening to mentors and we're never listening to ourselves. So just keep that in mind. And then Spirit also wants you to know with this 7 of water, we have the Magician here. Oh, this is such a sweet message. The 7 of water and the Magician together tells me that you're actually entering a phase of your life right now where things are going to be so much easier than they have been in the past. Because the 7 of water is about letting go and letting life flow effortlessly, where the Magician is all about manifesting your desires and calling things into being. So knowing that your manifestations are going to come to pass, believe them, live like they're already here right now, because it's in the here and now that you're going to attract that dominant vibration to you as you're like exuding it. And I also, sorry, I'm trying to like listen as well. Sometimes with Spirit, there's like, I have to listen. There's also this like, if you've been feeling really uninspired, I feel like your inspiration is about to like drive you forward. Like I just saw like this like crackling fire, and fire resembles like passion and inspiration and drive. It also might just be like a lust for life that like comes back. Now, we also have the Castle for you, and we have this with the King of Cups. So I feel like this card almost comes as more of a warning to you, pile number 2. And the warning is that the castle is a beautiful place to be. Okay. The castle is the home. It's a place that you have manifested. It's maybe where you currently reside. But the thing with the castle is it nurtures you when it needs to, and then you have to let it go. Eventually, you have to wander outside of the castle walls. So you might even be really comfortable in this like King of Cups energy where like it's very emotionally balanced. You're really into the emotions of things, but there's going to come a time where not that you're going to have to leave it behind forever. You can always come back to the castle, reside in its warmth. You can always come back home. But there's going to come a time soon where you're going to need to push beyond this because it's going to get uncomfortable if you don't. And it might already be uncomfortable. And mostly it's like coming at the expense of your emotional well-being. And you're going to notice that you never feel emotionally regulated or calm in this space. And it is a sign that you've really overstayed your welcome in this place. And it could be like a physical home. It could be another job, a different way of creating. The castle isn't always the physical home. It definitely can be though. But it's like the castle is like this fortress, this gift that we are able to really be inside of as we work to heal or be with ourselves or enjoy the richness of life. But eventually it does become uncomfortable and we seek to grow more. And you've done a lot of growing at this point in your life, but I feel like you maybe have even already been feeling called that like something doesn't feel right about where you are and you're going to eventually need to leave. And I kind of want to leave that open because I feel like there's a lot of messages around that, and just use this thing as a clarification to you. Like, however that applies to your life, Spirit is telling me not to get too specific because there's too many guides here that need that message to go out. Now, oh my gosh, you have like a romance thing in yours. Look at this. You have the kiss with the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is the most romantic card in the tarot. And I feel like I don't get a ton of romantic readings on my channel. Like, I don't make a lot of them, and I don't get a lot of romance messages. But in your reading, your spirit guides want you to know that if you're not already in a harmonious relationship is really on the horizon for you. This is something that's coming, and it might be really surprising. Like, it's almost like this kiss happens out of nowhere, or like it's really exciting. It makes your heart swell. It changes your perspective. And if you're already in a committed relationship, this could also be like deepening that relationship. But because I don't see anything here necessarily about a breakup, but it's like something in your relationship with your significant other is changing. Or this also could be like, if you feel like you're always the person that is having to go and get and do and provide, this is like your significant other maybe really stepping up to either help you with this or do something themselves that's going to help support the two of you. But regardless, Spirit wants you to know that if you're alone, you are not going to be alone much longer. Somebody is coming into your life, or somebody that you've been crushing on is like going to notice that. That's what I'm getting about that. Wow, that's so cool. I'm so happy for you. And that is what I have for you, pile number 2. These are the 7, or technically 8 messages with the numbers as well. Messages that your spiritual team, your guides needed you to hear right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. And if you would like to support me, if this reading helped you, please check out the Patreon down below, where you get exclusive pick a cards, community events, weekly energy updates, astrological predictions, and so much more. I would love to have you as part of the Patreon. Literally, the reason that I get to create the way I do is because of your support there. So please do consider checking it out if you want to be a part of that community. And if you have a little extra and you want to pass it my way, never an expectation, but always appreciated, I have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal, and my wish list down below for you. Again, I never expect those things, and I always pour anything I receive back into my channel unless you tell me in the notes section of a donation to do something else with it, then I will. But that is always open to you, as well as our Discord server, which is completely free. If you want to talk to like-minded individuals, chat with them via like text conversation, please join our Discord. And last but certainly not least, please also check out my podcast, Divine Authenticity. New episodes available every single Monday at 4:44 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We talk about astrology, getting into your that guy, that girl, that person energy, healing from trauma. Basically, my podcast is like all the context of what I do in life right now. And I feel like I should have called the podcast Crying on the Internet, because I feel like that's all I do is cry in that podcast. But it's a really good time, and it's a true passion project. So definitely check it out. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Apple and Spotify. And my socials are all down below as well. I'm at Kloee Taylor. And I recently restocked my readings. So if you'd like to get a private reading with me, please check the link down below at KhloeTaylor.com. It's just KhloeTaylor.com. All of my readings are listed there. I will never solicit you for a reading personally unless it's been talked about. Literally here in this video from me is like the only time you're going to hear about it. Or like you can only book through my website. Like I would never DM you on social medias. I would never comment to you, go and book a reading. That's just like not something that I do. So just be aware of scammer accounts out there. But I have the official at Kloee Taylor handle. So anywho, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to that. If you listen to my entire spiel, I love you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. All right, pile number 3. This is going to be the 7 things your spirit guides need you to know at this time. And we're going to start with these cards, these 7 cards, and then we're going to clarify them with some other cards that I have here, another deck that I have here. So, and I'm going to be shuffling that a little bit. So if you hear card shuffling, it's because I'm shuffling the clarifying deck. But first of all, let me just tell you what we have here. So we have heart, emotions, and intuition, healing, the riddle, the 10 of earth, the 2 of air, the ace of air, and Alethea. I always mess this up. Alethea. I'm so sorry. I am not going to pronounce that. So, she just is what she is, okay? We'll get to that card later. But in any case, these are the 7 things, and I'm going to explain to you what they mean, and we're going to get some clarifying cards to help us explain it a little bit more. So first and foremost, at the center of your reading, we have the heart, emotion, and intuition. And this is actually, number 1, about your heart space, about trusting your heart and letting your heart be the guide. And it's funny too, because at the beginning of this reading, I talked to you a little bit how my intuition, it's like, I know it's my intuition when the thought expands inside of me. And it's hard to explain if you haven't felt that feeling, but it often comes from the heart. Like you can tell it's this feeling of like peace that expands through the heart. So I do feel like with this and the 6 of Cups, you're actually really being told by Spirit right now. And I'm so sorry, my editor is going to hate me for this, but sorry about that. I'm using natural light today because sometimes when I have these big box lights on, they like tire my eyes out, and my eyes are already kind of tired today, so I didn't want to use them. So I apologize if the reading, some of the cards are a little darker than normal. I wanted to like adjust the camera settings, and I've been doing it this whole reading, and my editor is going to get so mad at me when they go to color grade this video. So I'm sorry, editor, please forgive me. But the 6 of Cups over the heart, this is telling me that you are healing from your past, and you maybe don't see it yet or feel it yet. This is something you've been working on, and your spiritual team and your guides need you to know that healing is happening right now. And healing is not something where you just like get into meditation and suddenly you feel better. Healing is sometimes a very deeply painful process, but you are healing right now, even if it feels like you're in the middle of an earthquake or a roller coaster of emotions. Your past is healing. You are healing maybe even your own lineage. You might be somebody that feels like you're a cycle breaker in your family, but ultimately your heart and your intuition are in the right place with this. And I also, this might be specific for like one person here that just needed some clarification on this, but Spirit is also telling me that if you had some assumptions about your past that you weren't sure about, like maybe you just don't remember, your guide needs you to know that you're right. You trust your intuition, you're right, and don't let somebody gaslight you out of that. Now we also have the healing card for you, and this is with the 4 of Stars or the 4 of Pentacles. So your spiritual team wants you to know at this time that your financial instability or where you feel like you have had to go without for a long time is actually being healed. You might even be in a situation right now where abundance feels blocked, money doesn't feel like it's flowing. And this situation in the future, you're going to actually be very grateful that it happened, because what is happening is you are learning how to build mental stability instead of physical stability, so that anytime something feels off kilter in the future, you will still feel okay. Like the way that like finances make you panic, this is something you're working through right now, so that in the future, no matter what comes at you, you're still going to feel good. This period of time in your life that you've had to deal with that has been difficult, Spirit is saying, it's because you are healing through something that is going to like make it so this can't ever happen again. You won't ever feel this way again. And if you didn't heal this, like the next version of yourself that you're becoming needs this healing work to be done so that you can progress forward in your life. So that's what's up with that. The next thing your spiritual team needs you to know with the 10 of Earth and the 7 of Wands is that it's time to be yourself. Notice how the 10 of Earth, did I say 10 of Wands? 10 of Earth. This female presenting person has a like mask that they're pulling off. This is the card of showing the world the real you and being praised for it. But what's interesting to me is you have this with the 7 of Wands, which is like the people accusing you of things or not being on your side or pointing a finger at you or putting you down because you're shining too brightly for them to handle. And Spirit is saying you need to stand in your power and shine anyway. Do not let these naysayers catch you like not being your authentic self. Do not let them overpower you, because right now the mission that you're on is the mission of becoming your truest self with your intuition and your heart being the leader in your life. And anybody that is saying like you're ridiculous or you can't do that, it's because they have an internal wounding inside of them that actually has nothing to do with you. And Spirit is saying like, keep doing what you're doing and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. You don't need to take things laying down. Like you can be love and light and a little bit of fuck you. Like, sorry, pardon my French, but like you can, it's okay. It's all right to have boundaries. In fact, it is necessary to have boundaries. And that's actually something that I feel like when I hear people have boundaries with themselves, with their work, with others, because I have had to work so hard to create that in my life, I love when people tell me about their boundaries because it reminds me that I always have the capacity and the power to hold strong boundaries in my life too. So it's like a reaffirming belief of like, oh, this is actually really safe and it's part of the human experience. So Spirit is saying like remain solid and don't let people that don't believe in you or want to like put you down get to you right now. Then we have the 2 of Air with the 2 of Wands. So the 2 of Air is a card that talks a lot about black and white thinking, where we're not actually thinking clearly because we're thinking it's one or the other. And something about black and white thinking is sometimes that can also be the trauma brain, where we can't actually think of how certain things could be justified. Black and white thinking is very like, it has to be this or it has to be this. There's no room for an in-between answer. And the 2 of Wands, this message is a little rough. So it's like, you currently think that you can only create one or a different, like 2 different versions of a reality, but you're missing all of the magic in the middle by being this way, by being rigid and saying it has to be all this way or it has to be all that way. And the 2 of Wands is about like creating the reality that you want to see happen. But the thing is, we have to have less rigidity in it. We have to be more willing to see both sides of things and walk the middle path. The middle path is where we can allow people to be themselves, even if we don't agree with everything that they're about. It's where we can allow for differences or anomalies or nuance to be part of the conversation. And your spirit guides want you to know that you are more than capable of creating the middle path. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. You don't have to make decisions that are stuck in such rigid ways of thinking. And Spirit is ultimately saying that you need to make room for a middle path to emerge. I can't say exactly what this is about because there are too many voices trying to talk at once right now. Like so many spirit guides have different ways that this is coming through for you specifically or for like each of you. But ultimately just know that if you chose this pile, you are on the middle path. You are not supposed to have a this or that. It's about making more room for the nuance and a middle path to emerge. I know that sounds kind of like mystical or like maybe even really open-ended, but that's all I'm really getting. I'm sorry. Now, the Ace of Water here, your spirit guides want you to know with the Ace of Water and the Knight of Crystals that a new emotional beginning is being brought forth in your life at this time, and emotional in a good way. Like, your emotions are feeling very fulfilling. You're not feeling as stressed out or overthrown by your emotions at this time. And your mental intellect is actually able to help you make more decisions. The Knight of Crystals is like having the $1,000,000 idea, or not the $1,000,000 idea. That's more like Knight of Pentacles, but like it's charging forward with an innovative idea, which could be $1,000,000 idea, but it's charging forward with like new ideas about the emotional self and feeling really good and called towards that path. Spirit just wants you to know with this that you currently are on the right path. You're on the right path with this. And if you're really like deep in your do not disturb era, deep in your hermit era, just like really trying to take time for you, this is the right thing for you to do right now, to fill up your own cup all the way. This also for some of you is actually a romantic partner that could be a sun, moon, rising, Libra, Gemini, or an Aquarius. Those are the air signs. I know, contrary to popular belief, Aquarius is not a water sign. There's only 3 of each, and the water signs are Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer. Aquarius is an air sign. I always feel like I have to say that when I mention it because I get so many people that are like, girl, the sign for Aquarius is waves. I'm like, I know. But Aquarius is the water bearer. They are not a water sign. They're an air sign. And so I feel like sun, moon, rising, this could be like an actual new person that has a deep emotional connection with you coming in. This is also for you if you know somebody like this, like they're wanting to commit romantically to you or emotionally to you. Okay. I was kind of waiting to see if Spirit had anything else to say, but nope, that's it. So the riddle, we have the riddle paired with the Hermit. And I actually really love this pairing of cards for you because the riddle is all about like life's great mysteries and trying to unfold them. And the riddle is actually one of our greatest teachers because it's like the unsolvable puzzle, right? I feel like that's really the path of like the mystic, where the more questions you have, you realize that like the more answers you receive, the more questions you have. And it's almost like you walk the path of asking questions versus always receiving answers and then just like stopping. It's kind of hard to explain because it's very like illusionary, I guess. But the Hermit being here with the riddle, I feel like pile number 2 had a similar message, but this to me is about like, if you're really confused in your life right now, your spiritual team needs you to know that it's time to take some time by yourself and stop making excuses about it. Like, this is something that is so neat. Actually, this is not the same as pile number 2. Your message is actually very different. We talked a little bit about like, taking some time by yourself to reset in pile number 1, actually, not 2. Sorry. We talked a little bit about that, but this one is different. This is more about like actually just shutting off from the world. And you need to take this time for yourself. It's not about waiting until it feels comfortable. The reason this keeps happening is that like there's never going to be a right time. And this is something that there's a lot of discontentness with you that keeps coming up around like the mysteries of life. And it's not going to feel better until you sit with it on your own without distractions. And that's something your spiritual team wants you to know is like, you keep like these hands reaching out to this riddle. You keep like touching it and it's like burning you. It hurts. But it's because you're not taking the time to really ponder it over appropriately. You're not meditating on it. You're not journaling over it. You're not speaking over it if like speaking helps you. I always like to give multiple ways of spending time by yourself pondering things, because not everybody wants to be deep in meditation. Not everybody wants to be like deep in their journal. Some people want to literally speak things aloud, like get those voice memos out on your phone and start talking to yourself. That's like another great way to get those feelings to kind of bubble up to the surface so you can understand and kind of look at the underbelly of what's going on. And this last card, I can already tell you I'm going to have to pull the book on it. We have the Fool with this card that I can never pronounce every time we get it. It's Alethea. I'm sorry. I always feel like I butcher it, but I'm going to get the book for this one that came with this deck because I'm not familiar with this card. The last few cards in this deck are a little more complex. So I'm just going to read directly from the book for you. This is the Truth card, and it says, our soul recognizes the truth. When someone speaks it, a cool wave of relief washes over the room and all the facts and figures in the world fall by the wayside. Such is the power of Alethea. It has an undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize Alethea by its contagiousness. When we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. The Alethea card requires us to step toward an act of truth. This might look like a conversation, a gesture, a poetic act, or a ritual that honors the unveiling of what's been concealed. Reclaiming your own truth is a way to reclaim your vital energy, health, and sense of belonging in the world. Truth has its own wings. Set it free. So I really like this card for you with Fool, because Fool is literally about newness, restoring yourself, trying something new that you've never tried before. And something that's really coming up in this reading is that it's really hard in today's world. And I feel like this is almost a message for everybody that like came to this reading, but y'all are the only pile that's going to hear it. It's really hard in today's world to have a consistent truth because we have so much access to nuance. There's like, you could have a belief about something, and we now have access to hundreds of thousands of opinions on that one truth that you hold. Like, let's say your truth is, I hate to use this example, but it's just an example. Like, I myself am non-religious. Let's use the example of Christianity, okay? One person, Christianity can be so good for them and actually really make them the best version of themselves that they can be in this lifetime. And it can like really work for them, and it opens their heart more. For someone else, Christianity can be the worst thing. It can debilitate them, shame them, make them feel like they are completely unworthy of love. For someone else, they see Christianity as a cult. For somebody else, they see Christianity as only love. For somebody else, this goes completely against their religious path. For somebody else, it's like freedom. For somebody else, it's a cage. And this is true with so many aspects of our life today. And the more we get comfortable with nuance, the easier things become. But here's the thing. We are not robots. We are not able to always encompass it all. And this is actually something in my life currently that I feel like I've really, really, really had to learn how to have better boundaries with. Because in the past, I would be scrolling social media 8 hours a day, if not more. I would be learning, like reading only self-help books and reading only psychology books and taking only courses that would further my study of myself. and like just deeply, passionately learning for a while. But eventually, all of this stuff that was changing my perspective, one person would have this method on manifestation. One person would have this method in psychology. One method, like there was so much information that anytime I tried to build a solid truth on top of something, it would come tumbling down the next minute because somebody else would disprove that idea. And we see this constantly, all the time. And this is why I am like, this is me talking to you right now. I'm not channeling this specific part of the reading because I really feel like this is something that you might struggle with and just need to hear. This is why in today's world, black and white thinking, we really can't do anymore. We have to be open to the nuance of somebody else's perception, but also know when we need to have boundaries with those things. Because if you can't pick yourself up and do something that makes you feel good because you've just heard 15 opinions of why that's the worst thing for you, and now you don't know if it's good for you or bad for you, it's like you put all of your trust and truth into somebody else's ideologies, and there are so many ideologies on each thing. I hope I'm making sense here. I know this is kind of a ramble, but it's really important that you disconnect from the books, from the constant searching for that girl routines, from the educational stuff all the time. Now, I'm not saying these things are bad. When you're ready to take in new information and learn something new, this is so awesome to take in new stimuli. But we currently live in a time where everybody's truth is being projected constantly. We have messages from the media, messages from religious indoctrination, messages from our relatives, messages on Facebook, right? It's everywhere. It runs rampant everywhere. And people that just want to love on everyone or create a solid foundation for themselves, if you have no way of tuning into your own heart, your own intuition, your own truth, and you're always looking for it outside of you, this is going to create a lot of disruption in you because it's going to create this blockage where you're not able to work through anything and you don't even know what feels good to you anymore because you've been told on one hand, it's good for this, this, and this. And on the other hand, oh, this was terrible for me. This was my experience. Am I making sense? I hope so. I hope this tangent is making sense. My point is when we get to that truth that really resonates with us, hold it. But don't hold it so tight that it can never be transformed if it needs to be. That a truth can never have nuance because it's this delicate balance that we have to keep. On one hand, if we're taking in so much stimuli, we don't have a truth that we stand for at all. And that feels very disruptive and like without peace to the human psyche. And on the other hand, if we're so convicted or with conviction, we have these truths that nobody else's truth outside of ours can exist, we condemn others. We hurt others with that. This is why, like, for me personally, religion doesn't work for me because especially like I was raised Mormon. So that's like my experience with religion, but Mormon religion teaches that they're the only one true religion. And that really freaking bothered me because there are so many other truths out there that are true for other people. And it's like we have to have both and. So when you're discovering your truth and you're going down a new path, try not to, like, guard it with your life, honestly. Like, guard it for you and see how it feels. Try it on for you. Does the belief, the truth align with you? Because if it doesn't, discard. But it's okay to have a collection of truth that is for you, but it's also super okay to be open to learn. But don't let this overwhelm you to the point that you don't have anything that you know is a truth for you. I hope that makes sense. I felt very inspired to talk about that. And I feel like it was a little all over the place, but I hope that like somebody that really needed to hear that message heard it today, because I really feel like that is a problem that mentally a lot of us are coming up against, as media is just so present in everybody's day-to-day life now, that a lot of us don't even know what we believe and what feels good for us. Like, one more thing I'll say on this and then we'll move on is like, just yesterday, one of my best friends in the whole world was talking to me about like, I was taking off my like eye skin, like my eye patch jellies. I like to wear eye patches sometimes because it feels good, right? The little eye jellies that go on your under eyes. And she was like, how do you keep it all straight, Kloee? And I was like, first of all, make it gay. Second of all, yes, I am a Gemini moon and a baby child in my heart. I literally can't say the word straight and not think gay. But she was like, how do you keep it all straight? Like, how do you know like what creams are for what and what skincare feels like, what is good? Like, how do you know? How do you do all that? It just feels exhausting. And I looked at my friend and I said, listen, you really have to take other people and assumptions about what you should be doing out of the equation. I don't put these Peter Thomas Roth eye jellies on for anybody else. This isn't so that I'm a poreless little baby. This is because it feels good. I keep them in my skin fridge and it feels so good in the morning to help depuff my eyes because I enjoy it. It's not for anybody else. It's not so I can look 20 years younger. It's because it feels good for me. Same with ice rolling and using a moisturizer and washing my face. I do those things because I like them, not because there is a societal pressure to have an 18-step skincare routine that is going to make me a poreless wonder. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to be a poreless wonder, more power to you. This isn't me trying to shame you. I would always make room for that nuance. But my point is, what is true for you? That is my truth. I like to do those things because they feel good on my skin. So I take care of myself that way. But that's because that's just what I like. It's not for a beauty standard. It's because it's what I like. Does that, like, I hope that helps. Anyways, the last thing I want to touch on is the number 33, which was your significator for this. And 33 is a number of mastery. It's also a number for Archangel Michael. So if you've been thinking about working with like an ascendant master, an archangel, this is definitely a sign that maybe you should try. Only if you feel called to, you know, obviously if there's like religious trauma, I would never want you to do something that's going to put you back there. So please always be like safe and intentional with your practices. And the master number 33, this is literally about like creating mastery in your life, like knowing some things to the level of mastery. And I would almost encourage you, pile number 3, to go back and listen to pile number 2, because there was some stuff in that pile about mastery, creating something to the level of mastery. And that is what I have for you, pile number 3. I hope this reading helped you out. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. And if you would like to support this channel, please make sure you check out my Patreon. The link is available down below for you. And we have weekly energy readings, card of the month, community nights, extra pick-a-cards that you can't get anywhere else. All of my lifestyle content and like any extra astrology stuff that doesn't get posted here also goes there and nowhere else. Like I do astrological predictions each month for you all based on your rising sun and moon. So if you want those extra videos, it's a great way to support me as a creator and get like so many posts for yourself. The second you join, you get access to everything that's ever been put on my Patreon. So it's not just like this month's content that's coming, it's last month's content as well. And like all the months prior for over a year now. So you get access to everything when you join, and I would love to have you as part of our community. If you have a little extra to give and you got something out of this reading, never an expectation, but always appreciated. I do have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below, as well as my wish list. I do accept tips and gifts. And if you don't tell me to do something else with it in like the notes section, I always pour any donations I get back into my channel. So It just goes towards like decks, candles, crystals, incense, anything that we need to create more for the YouTube channel. And I also have my podcast, Divine Authenticity, new episodes every single Monday, available everywhere you listen to podcasts. It's a podcast about self-development. We talk about everything: psychology, astrology. Like, there is no stone left unturned on the podcast. I feel like the podcast is like my little online diary. It's where all the context is behind everything that I do. And it's just like, it's really such a passion project for me. So definitely give it a listen if you feel like you're in the market for a new podcast. My goal for this year is to have 1 million downloads. We're at 187K downloads last time I checked, but that is over the last 3 years. So I'm really hoping that we're going to push forward in 2023 and hit that 1 million mark. And if you love the podcast already, please make sure that you share it with somebody that you know. Is there anything else that I've missed here? Oh, if you want to book a reading with me, readings available only through my website, KloeTaylor.com. Link is down below for that. And know that I will never directly DM you or comment down below to sell a reading to you. I would never do that. Only through my website can you book when they're available. Information again on my website if you want that. And I am the only person that has the official Kloee Taylor handle, and I also have the Divine Authenticity handle. Those are my only 2 accounts for the public that anybody would like. And just don't get scammed, okay? On social media, there's so many scammer accounts for tarot card readers. Unfortunately, they target y'all, they target my audience, and it sucks. So please just like, don't get scammed, be careful, and know that I would never DM you for a personalized reading. You can only book through my website. And I love you so much, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye. Hello there, pile number 4, and welcome into the 7 things that your spiritual team or your spirit guides really want you to know. So first and foremost, you picked the number 1212, and this is the number that it's not only like the number of the visionary, which is funny because you got the vision card, but it's the number of the visionary, and 1212 is also like endings. So like, it's the number 12 but amplified. 12 is the last number in the zodiac, and also 12 does condense down to a 3. 3 and 3 makes 6. 6 in numerology and in astrology often refers to harmony, but also to our routines, our daily tasks, as it corresponds to the astrological sign of Virgo. So all of those things might be significant to you. I just wanted to point them out at the beginning of the reading. They may not, but we're going to go ahead and now talk about the 7 things your spiritual team needs you to know right now. And I'm first going to tell you what each of these cards are, and then we're going to clarify each of them by going over them individually with some extra cards. So first and foremost, we have work hard, commitment, and perseverance in the middle of your reading. We have choice, the vision, intuition, the Queen of Fire, the King of Earth, and the River. So at the heart of your reading, we have hard work, commitment, and perseverance with these like bees. Bees might be a spiritual symbol to you. And we have this with the 5 of Cups. So I really get the sense with this pile that you are very focused right now on what you don't have. And I hate to say it, pile number 4, this is going to be a little bit of tough medicine that your spirit team wants you to hear. You're too focused on what you don't have, and you're upset about things that you don't have because you're playing a constant comparison game, but you're mad that you don't have things that you've never worked for. And I'm not saying that you've never worked hard in your life. I'm sure that you have. That's not what your spiritual team is saying. You've worked hard, but what you need to remember is if you're playing a comparison game and you're wanting what somebody else has, a business, a home, a family, a partner, a certain body type, you have to realize that they have an entire story that led them down that path. And there were so many unseen things that you don't know anything about. Their relationship with their significant other, if that's what you're envying, they maybe had to do so much personal self development, and so did their partner, to even be ready for that kind of partnership. If they have a flourishing business that generates them wealth that you're jealous of or upset about, it's like they maybe went through several failed business plans before they got one that actually worked for them. If it's a like body type or something, now I want to be really careful how I speak about this because I am somebody that is like a survivor of disordered eating and diet culture. So please, like, just maybe even skip ahead a couple of minutes if this is like a triggering topic for you. But let's say you want your body to like look a certain way, but you see people's success and how they look and you envy that. You need to remember that they put hours into learning about nutrition, learning about the gym, and going. So you can't be upset about what you've never worked for. Or like, let's say it's like a flourishing social media career. You're mad that they have all this publicity, but how much consistency did they put into their process, into their effort towards having the level of popularity that they have? And how much work did they put in? What chapter are they on? You can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 45 and expect that you're going to have the same results right off the bat. Most of the time, these people fought a battle that you know nothing about. And I'm telling you that because you're really, really, really focused on maybe even like having a home that is yours. Like, look at this cute little like cabin across the water, being focused on it's like you're not seeing how good you actually have it. Maybe there's already a roof over your head right now, but you don't own it. It doesn't mean that you're never going to be a homeowner. It's that you're not appreciating what you have right now. Instead, you're focused on all the ways that this living situation doesn't work for you. Instead of being like, wow, I have running water. I have food in my fridge. My bills are paid. There's a roof over my head. Or these are obviously just examples. But the point is that when you don't appreciate what is in front of you, number one, you're never going to appreciate what you have later down the line either. Like, part of getting to where you're trying to go, you have to learn to appreciate what's in front of you. One of my favorite examples of this is, let me tell you, my last apartment that I had, I hated that apartment. That was one of my least favorite places that I have ever lived. It was tiny. It was cramped. For everything that I had, like moving there, I did not fit in this apartment. It was loud. It was dirty. Things were breaking all the time. It wasn't ready when I came to move into it. When I'd driven across state lines to get there, there were so many problems with this apartment. And for months, like for almost a year, I was just mad about this apartment. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop speaking unkind things about this apartment. I'm going to appreciate it for what it does do for me. And I'm going to turn this space into a space that can help me appreciate it more. So I put paint on the walls, which I was allowed to do. I put paint on the walls. I bought tools that would help me organize the space and help my stuff fit more. I put more into like decor and trying to amplify the space. Every time I said something mean about my apartment, like, oh, I fucking hate this apartment, I would tell myself, no, I don't hate this apartment. This apartment provides me protection from the elements. It provides me shelter. It provides me hot showers, hot baths. It provides me a comfortable bed to sleep in and a safe environment. So I would make myself consciously say like 3 to 5 nice things every time I thought or said one terrible thing. And this isn't because we're not allowed to have bad thoughts or like bad thoughts. I say with big quotes because what does that even mean? It's so subjective. But my point to talking about this is that you have to be appreciative right now. Because when you get to that place that you're trying to go, if you're not already appreciative of what you have, you're still going to have that same internal dialogue. And I know this from personal experience multiple times. I talked about this in a video that I put out actually called like Manifesting Disaster. It was about manifesting my dream life and how it actually like really messed me up. Like I manifested everything I wanted and it was the harshest lesson I've ever had to learn. It's on my channel. Just look for Manifesting Disaster. It's on there. But you have to be willing to commit and work for the things that you want, but also appreciate what you have in the process. And I'm not saying that like you have to be like everything is sunshine and rainbows. It could literally be a 1% change that makes all the difference. And that's what your spiritual team really wants you to know with this reading. Now, the choice card coming out with the Six of Crystals, I feel like your reading is mean. Like your spirit guides are not playing with you and they have like, this is like 2 hits of tough love. And I'm sorry, please do not be mad at me. Like sometimes I do not want to repeat the things that I hear because I think people will take it personally from me, and your spirit guides are not playing with you. Like they just want you to commit to anything. Like there has been such a lack of commitment from you. And it's not like, oh, I committed for 3 months. What are you talking about? My rule of thumb for commitment to a project is a year. Give it a year. If you're passionate about this thing that you're trying to build or this desire that you have, you can give it a year. And obviously, there's a nuance to this. I'm not saying if you're in like a dire situation that you can't manifest better quickly. Please take what I'm saying with a huge dose of nuance. I obviously cannot get specific for every single person because there are so many guides up in here right now. But with the choice card coming out, your guides want you just to commit to something. It doesn't matter what, but you need to have some level of commitment to yourself, and not just commitment for a few weeks, commitment for month after month after month. You're going to feel better the more that you commit to yourself. And you're not going to get anywhere that you're trying to go right now, because like the Six of Crystals is also like going towards something, going towards your journey, your path, your purpose, and making yourself go in that direction. And Spirit is saying you keep like flip-flopping on your choices. And if you're serious about it, you need to be serious about it. And if you feel like there's anything holding you back, you need to address those things that are holding you back so that you can set course. Now, we also have for you the Queen of Fire card. And with this, we have the Eight of Cups. Oh, this is another really direct message. Oh my gosh. Ugh, Spirit. Why? Some of y'all, I think, like tough love because this is the second time this has happened on my channel recently. And I don't know if I just attracted a bunch of people that like need to hear it like this, but it's like very uncomfortable for me to give messages like this because I am not this way in my day-to-day life. So when I get people's guides that are like this, ooh, your guides are feisty. Okay. You are a bad bitch. You are powerful. The Queen of Wands is confident energy. And you have had the confidence literally sucked out of you. And it is by, I want to say it's like people or relationships around you. You're having the confidence like sucked out of you. You need to meet more people and close down relationships. It doesn't matter if they're romantic. It doesn't matter if they're familial. It doesn't matter if they're friends. You need to create distance between you and the people in your life that are not championing you. And I want to make it clear, this doesn't mean we need an echo chamber. It's okay to have difference in opinions, but ask yourself where's your confidence level right now? And if you don't feel like your confidence, like when you surround yourself with people that know how to love you the way that you need to be loved, you will thrive. Trust me on this. Like when you are in like messy or chaotic love, or you keep chaotic family members around, or friends that really aren't your friends, they're like frenemies that actually don't want to see you do good. Your life will be chaos. Like you won't even be able to like think straight because you're always trying to be a certain kind of person to match their energy. And spirit is saying it's time to walk away. If it's not working and you constantly are being pushed into this same situation and there's no growth from the people around you, they refuse to help themselves, or like sometimes there really does come a time where you just need to say goodbye. Like, we're not tolerating it anymore. If you don't feel confident and like in love with yourself, not like narcissist in love with yourself, there's a difference. Spirit is saying that there are people that are keeping you in this. And it could be people that you live with, people that you talk to a lot, it could even be people that you follow them on social media and you're always seeing their stuff. So it's like causing this in you to have like a lack of confidence, and you just need to like go through and clean out your social media. But if there is anyone or anything that is taking your confidence from you, it needs to go, because it's not going to help you stick to the goals that you're trying to make right now. And gosh, I resonate so hard with this pile at the same time. Like, even when it comes to like, I'm married, my husband, he's freaking amazing. We love him. But sometimes like we have very different energy. He moves a lot like slower in his day than I do. I have really like burn bright energy in the morning. And then around lunchtime, that's when it starts to like go downhill. And I get more and more and more tired as the day progresses. And so I know that when I like am in the morning, I'm really happy, bubbly. I'm such a morning person. Like I love the morning. And my point to this is like when my husband and I would try to wake up at the same time, I would be pissed because he would just be like quiet and a little angry, and like he's just a little angry bird. And I would be like, "Hi, I love you. What are we doing today?" Like big golden retriever energy. And we finally had to come to the agreement that like we can't really wake up at the same time. Either he has to be up before me so that by the time I'm awake, he's up, or I have to get up first and then like give him space to wake up, because his energy was conflicting and colliding with mine so badly. And that's normal. That's okay. It's okay that those things happen in relationships. You don't need to be carbon copies of each other. You can make room. But my point to this is like, if you always feel like you're running into the same problems and the person isn't willing to work on those things with you, or like create solutions that will actually do more, or like work on themselves, not for you, but for themselves, I feel like what I'm not saying is like, sometimes when you grow and the people around you don't grow too, even if it's in their own way, it keeps you stuck. You get held back by them being in your garden. And like, it's sometimes just time to move, like go somewhere else, do something else. I feel like the people that you surround yourself with are really holding you back. And I've gotten this message on my channel before. I feel like if you've heard me say this to you before, you're not listening. And your spirit guides are getting pissed. And I feel like they're never mad. Like spirit guides are always like super love and they just want to help you. And they do want to help you, but they're getting irritated that you're not listening, because you already know this. What I'm telling you right now shouldn't be blindsiding you. That's not how tarot works. It shouldn't be blindsiding you. This should be something that you're consciously aware of. And you just needed somebody to remind you. Now, moving on to the intuition card with the Six of Cups. The intuition with Six of Cups. Oh, man. This is like a past cycle. There's a past cycle that is repeating right now in your life. And obviously it's not exactly the same. Like when we come to the same cycle again, it's different because we're different. But there's a cycle that's repeating in your life right now. And I think it has something to do with your relationships. And you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it because you feel like you've already healed from this thing. And the thing is, you haven't. And it's not because you can't. You are different now. You've healed from parts of it, but there's still more. And Spirit is saying that you really need to let your intuition guide you on this one. Like, ask yourself about the relationships in your life and how do they make you feel? How do you feel in your body when you're around certain people? How do you speak about them when they're not there? That's another telltale sign. If every time somebody isn't present with you and all you're saying about them is how they annoy you or bother you, or you wish they were this way or that way, that is such a telltale sign that that might be the person that needs space. Like, you need space from them. But you really need to let your intuition take the lead on this. And recognize where the pattern is repeating. Now, the King of Earth, we have this with the Flower of Life. This is another hard message. It's not, it is hard because it's, when it comes to finances, we as humans always want to control everything. I feel like it's human nature. It's just how we are. We want to control or force. We want to know that things are going to be stable. It's very scary when they're not. And the thing is, Spirit wants you to know that if finances or abundance have been something that have been kind of out of alignment for a little while, you need to trust that you can actually work with that energy internally. You can work with your flow of abundance internally and actually allow money to flow in easier. And you've done it before. Like, you've manifested checks before. You've manifested random money coming your way before. But it's like you've been off that practice for so long that you forget. And your guides are actually, this one's a little more gentle. They're reminding you gently that what is reflected in your reality is also within you. And remember that if you feel like you're cut off from the flow of abundance, that's something internal as well. You're being cut off from the flow. So what is not flowing internally, and where can we course correct? Then with the Vision card, we have the Emperor. Oh, your guides, look at them. They're coming back with good news. So the Emperor and the Vision, if you're somebody that wants to create an empire, create structure, create a business, create something that will basically support you, this is your guides telling you that your vision is spot on, that you need to birth this creation into being and that it will be successful. It's literally what they want you to know is like, stop not doing it. You need to put it out there and do the thing because it will be successful. Your visions are spot on and you have them for a reason. And we also have the River with the Magician. And the Magician is such a great card. It's like literally the manifester. We love the Magician in this house. So the Magician with the River. The Magician is all about having like all the powers of the universe like conspire to help you, right? It's all about like being able to stand in your power and make things happen in your literal reality. And it's also about the flow, the current. That's what like the river is, the flow, the current. I feel like you have really been stuck in like your logical self. And this is actually a really strong pull, pile number 4, for you to get on your spiritual bullshit. Like, that's how I'm just going to say it. Like, I feel like there's a lot that you're afraid of, maybe because it's something you've never had before, or like maybe you've experienced little mystical instances, but you've always kind of like questioned faith or questioned divine, or is there anything really there? Or like it might be a hard relationship for you, but you're being tested in these ways because spirit wants you to evolve and basically show yourself how powerful you actually are by being open to the flow of the universe actually bringing things into your life, bringing your intentions into your life, and being able to manifest from that place. Because I want you to notice the magician also has this like current going down into the earth and up into the sky. And they are like the conduit for that current of energy. And then you have the river, which is literally the flow and the current. So you're very powerful. Your guides want you to know that you're not meant to feel not confident or disempowered. They give you these messages, these tough love messages, because they want to empower you. They want to inspire you to do and go and be and create and stay consistent and believe that you are able to create the change you want to see in your life. And I've said this before in another tough love reading, and it's coming out again. I'm wondering if some of y'all are repeat, like from that first reading forever ago. The thing that I'm hearing for you is like, you literally have no one to blame but yourself. Like, you have every opportunity in front of you right now. And gosh, I just read something about this today that was like, the universe could literally give you the oil, the eggs, the baking sheet, the oven, the spatula, the flour, the sugar, and like people will still walk out of the kitchen pissed because they don't want to put in the work to like make the cake or the cookies. When the universe will literally give you everything you need, you just have to put some action behind it. And there is really this strong emphasis in your reading to put action behind what you're doing. And to not just like, but also at the same time to create the balance with like action and flow, not just creating this either or it has to be one or the other. It's kind of a back and forth dance. And I hope this reading helped you out, pile number 4. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. If you would like to support me more, I do have my Patreon available to you, where I put out weekly energy updates, card of the month, extra pick-a cards that you can't get anywhere else. We also do community events once a month where we get together and hang out in like a more intimate setting. We also have my lifestyle content goes up there. Sometimes I do like astrology specials that I won't put out here. Every month we have astrology predictions there and monthly predictions for like a tarot card monthly predictions. And then I do an astro forecast for your sun, moon, and rising on Patreon. So if you just want more content like that, more like knowledge into the stars and what's coming up for you, definitely check out the Patreon. I also have readings available on my shop right now, at least as I'm recording this, I do. And I want to say the day this goes up, there is a potential restock happening as well. So definitely check it out. If you want to book a private reading with me, it's KhloeTaylor.com. Link is going to be down below if you want to check that out. I would certainly appreciate it. Links to all the decks I use down below as well. And if you are feeling super generous, this reading helped you. It was what you needed to hear. I also have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal, and my wish list down below. I do accept tips for my readings if you want to leave something like that for me, but it is never an expectation. I also want to encourage you to check out my podcast, Divine Authenticity. My goal for this year is to reach 1 million downloads, and we're currently at 187K over the last 3 years. So I'm really hoping to hit that 1 million mark this year though, and your support means everything to me. We are 130 episodes in. The podcast is all about like astrology, mysticism, psychology. We talk about everything. We talk about wellness because I'm in school to be a nutritionist right now. We talk about wellness. We talk about health. We talk about, it's like the place where everything in between what I do exists. It's the context for everything. So if you want to listen to the podcast, please do. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts, including Apple and Spotify. And if you want to join our community in a free place where you can talk to everybody via chat, please join our Discord community. Link is down below. There's so many different chats in our community. One's for like witchcraft, one's for astrology. There's a general chat, an emotional dumping space, a positive news only space, and so much more. I love hanging out with y'all in the Discord, so definitely check that out. And I don't think I've left anything out. You're the last pile. I definitely feel like I need to go do some grounding exercises now. But thank you so much for listening. I love you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one.